and walking along the same canal I did last week. Just a nice, peaceful, serene place to walk. I thought, come on then, let's do that. I've packed the bacon butty into some foil and popped it in the camera bag. We're all set, aren't we, pups? Hey? I just met a really interesting chap, or chaps, who were doing some work on the pillboxes. Did we talk about the pillboxes last week? I think we did. Those small concrete defences that are all along our canals and our railway lines in the UK, or the main arterial ones anyway. They were there in case there was ever an invasion. And a lot of them have been open for many, many years. And they invite, as you can imagine, people to sleep overnight in them. They're not necessarily the nicest places to sleep in, I would have thought. You can work out why. Some of them have been turned into things like, there is. Well, where's that one I saw on? Was it on the south coast? Turned into a sort of cafe, very small one. But most of them are just, they don't do anything. So I saw them working, these chaps working on them last week, and I thought they were just putting steel doors on them with big locks. It's just to stop people going in them. But they've actually put small grates up in what would have been the small holes where the guns pointed out, and they've put other small holes on the rear side of them. So they're using some of the holes, get this. Well, essentially these pillboxes have become rather grand bat boxes. Like a bat stately home, really, when you think of the size of a normal bat box. I would imagine you'll get a bat colony in some of them. I don't know, how does that work? So yeah, all along this part of the canal, they're being repurposed as bat boxes. What a great idea for nature. Let me just get a picture of where I am along the path today. A sketchbook photograph to start the show. It's sunny at the moment, but it's going in and out. It really is. Shutter speed 2200 f5, 160 ISO, and a sketchbook picture to start the show. I know I've not been putting my sketchbook photos up of late. By the time everything's published and we go to press, as it were, my photos are the least important thing. Note to self, some people do like to see where we're walking. Don't they, pups? And maybe a portrait or three of you.
You know, it's refreshing to find places online where creative people are simply sharing their work, ideas, and encouragement without everything feeling like it's a race for attention. That's part of what Art Helper is building, and they support this show, which helps keep these walks happening every week. Art Helper is a community for photographers, artists, and makers, with a live feed of artwork and discussion, artist profiles, creative networking, and a growing global directory celebrating human-made work. It's free to join at arthelper.com/sign-up. arthelper.com/sign-up. There's also a direct link waiting for you on today's show page.
Today on the Photo Walk.
Failing's a big part of photography. I love to fail. I love to see how far I can push that camera, and that didn't work. And I'm not ashamed to post it and go, I tried this, it didn't work. You know, where there's too much perfection in the world right now. And I think that there's too much digitized perfection, in my opinion. And I love flaws. And I always use the analogy of music and photography live side by side. The records sound beautiful because of the cracks and the popples.
What did he say? Let me repeat it. Failing is a big part of photography. I love to fail. Close quotes. And I suppose you could apply that to many and all parts of this thing we are students of called life. So that's Tim Rice, the photographer, I might add, not the composer and songwriter who worked with that Lloyd Webber chap on shows like Evita, Jesus Christ Superstar, The Lion King, and. I thought I should add that in before people say, I had no idea that Tim Rice, the lyricist, the famous lyricist, was into photography too. He might well be, of course, I don't know. I keep thinking I should try and contact a few stars about their photography interests. Bryan Adams is perhaps he's one of the more famous singers who's more than into photography. He's a darn fine photographer, but he never returns my calls. Despite still owing me 20 quid for a bar bill I settled for him in 1993. True story, you've probably heard it before, but there's quite a few here actually. Sorry, photography Tim, let me just digress. Ewan McGregor, I made a list. Ewan McGregor. Lewis Hamilton, he would be fascinating. Apparently he likes documentary shooting. Can you imagine the documentary story Lewis Hamilton is compiling? I'm assuming he is. Oh, 2 Jeffs, Goldblum and Bridges. The very British Nigel Havers. I bought a car from Nigel Havers in 1997 or 8, one of the two. There's another story, worth a revisit sometime. The stars and their photographic habits, though. Hey? Bit of name dropping today, Neil. You want to watch that? I know. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, back in the room. Tim Rice. The photographic Tim Rice from America Land is my guest today to listen to as we walk our paths together in a while. And it's a chat split, actually, into 4 parts because I think we just noodled very well, if you'll pardon the expression. He is, like me, a proper jobbing photographer. He's turned and still does his hand to the widest gamut of photographic work, which is what makes him very pertinent in terms of the chats that we have today. Pertinent? I think that's the right word. There's social photography, headshots, branding. That's that sort of photographic heartland that has fed photographers down the decades and decades and decades. He owned a 1-hour photo lab, actually, when he started out. And then digital came to fight with him, and he talks about that. He loves film, he loves analogue, yes. Loves movies, loves music on vinyl, loves real prints in real galleries. So in part 1, which you'll hear today, we talk about that. And then in part 2, which you'll also hear today, he's about to set off on a photographic road trip across the middle ground of America, inspired by the work and 50s observations of photographers such as Robert Frank, no less. What about part 3 and 4, Neil? Well, I'm glad you asked. Part 3 I talk about shortly, and part 4 is next week. He is a photographer who's opened his own museum of cameras, lenses, and everything that comes with it. I'd imagine there'll be many of us who've collected stuff down the years in terms of camera bodies, etc. Next week's chat, though, takes it to a new level. This is Gas Mark 11. So today, noodles from a life behind a lens and a road trip that may inspire you to make your own. There's a very magazine-y, homely feel today, I think, minus celebs with their cameras who still owe me 20 quid. You might want to get over that, Neil. I don't think I ever will. In the mailbag today, RJ Campbell is getting very nostalgic about a picture of his dad and what that means to him and to all of us, really. The biscuit question works, the biscuit tin question, that is. Slow burner to start with, but you came up with some witty answers to what would your photography-themed autobiography be called. And Carrie Price in Australia Land has found honey brown beetles and burnt Basque cheesecake. Just don't mix them up at the same sitting. The wonderful world of macro meets street meets dessert. And there's a last letter of the show as well that I can't really tell you about until we get to the end of the show. That's the way that one works. Shall we walk? There's been a heron on the path ahead, just teasing me. At first I wasn't sure because I haven't got my glasses on. I can't really wear my glasses because I keep taking them off as I look down at notes and then put them on as I look ahead. Can't be bothered with that. So I wasn't quite sure whether it was a heron or swan. You need varifocals, Neil. That's what you need. I've tried those, but I can't get on with those. They just make me feel drunk. It's just looking up, looking down. Oh, it's a weird experience. I never got on with those. I suppose there could be an advantage to sometimes feeling a bit squiffy, but not as I'm making this show. Come on, pups, this way. Have you just been rolling in something? Eh? Have you just been rolling in something? You have? Well, at least you're honest. All right, you get a treat for honesty, then I'll do the first letters. Here we go. What have I got in here? Hey, look at this. Nice. ASMR. There we go. All right, come on, let's walk this way. If you hear a letter today and you think, oh, I've got something to say about that, or you have some pictures, stories to share, then the email address for the show is stories@photowalk.show. Actually, on the contact page, you'll find a bit on how to send in your pictures, what size we need, and so on. Delighted to say, it was a slow start, but the biscuit tin question got a smattering of thoughts from you, that tin being full of random photographic and creative questions, and some life ones actually, which I popped in late last week. Conversation starters plus, in many ways. I was going to ask a fresh one every single week, but I don't think that will work, seeing that some of you are a week or two behind, sometimes as much as a month. So we'll keep the question the same for the entire month. And this month, there's only a few more weeks actually, what would your photographic autobiography be called? There's a theme with the first few thoughts. Richard Rawlings, thank you. You're beginning to, you may have actually earned, I'll have to think of one for you, your show moniker. Because I'm hearing more from you these days, Richard. Mine, he said, would be called Another Step, which I like, Richard, because it has a strong photographic and photo walk feel. However, Richard adds, if my wife was writing the title for me, it would be Leave Your Wet Trousers at the Door. Mike Hatter, I love this idea, Neil. I'm actually going to borrow something that's a nod to your favourite TV detective, one Mr. Columbo. I'd call mine Just One More Frame. Because apparently every walk, every outing, every holiday with my family has involved me saying, just one more frame, or really, hang on just one more. This title, by the way, isn't really mine. It was chosen for me by Kirsty, my wife. Hang on just one more time. James, I'm getting more WhatsApp messages these days. Yours is one of them, James. It says his will be titled, I didn't write your surname down, I do apologise, James. I would look it up, but I'm on the phone, the WhatsApp is on. Anyway, James, you know who you are. Says his will be titled Closed on Tuesdays, after spending 37 years arriving at galleries, cafes and camera shops on the very day they weren't open. Elaine Porter in Norwich Land, which is a country all of its own in the UK, says her title would be The Bin Was in the Background Again. And I think probably many of us could have books called that. No, pups, not yet. I'm just reading some letters. And another one, there are some more, but another one for the moment from Mike, who came back with pictures of car parks and my dog. Nuff said. So there we go, the biscuit tin question. What would your photography-themed autobiography be called? Stories@photowalk.show is the email address, or the other ways, WhatsApps, through Messenger. I know, there's so many ways. So I do apologise if sometimes I don't get to your message for a couple of weeks. We should really have a rule, shouldn't we? One way to get in touch. Come here, pups, there's a bike coming. Wait there. Sit down. Morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Another bike. Stay. Morning, enjoy your ride.
Thank you.
Come on, pups, this way. Good boy. All right. You can have one of these. See, he's very good. He doesn't chase bikes, doesn't chase joggers, does chase herons. And that's why I haven't managed to get my picture of a heron. I reckon I could have crept up. Come on, this way. So I might be peaking far too early, actually, with my plug for the Extra Mile show this week, the extra edition of this show available to supporters on Patreon, because my guest, Tim Rice, is back to face a selection of biscuit tin questions. And he does actually get the "what would your photographic autobiography be called?" question.
Well, I'll give you a different one because I have one, but I don't want to give it away. So,
Okay.
yeah, and I own the website for it. So someday I'll use it.
Don't use that one then.
Yeah, don't want to use that one. I don't know. The way he sees it is really what comes to mind. I get that a lot. Like people joke with me, I'd like to see things the way you see it.
Yeah.
The way he sees it, the way Tim sees it. Doesn't mean it's right. I just see it different. Could be crazy. It doesn't matter, but I see it differently.
If you want to hear the rest of the questions and answers and the biscuit tin questions, it's on our Extra Mile this week. In the meantime, if you want to answer that question, letters and emails to stories@photowalk.show or DMs and WhatsApps and blah, 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 blah as well. There seems to be a never-ending way to reach out. I'm still waiting for the pigeon. One day.
I got a letter this morning, boy. Hey, hey, honey. I got a letter this morning, boy. Hey, hey, honey. I got a letter this morning. Gonna see you when the sun goes down.
All right, in terms of the photos you've sent in, we are starting today with a photograph that, to one family at least, has a value you can't even begin to calculate. There's a great story to go with it. You know I love a good story. This is from R.J. Campbell, somewhere in Missouri. And the picture is on the show page today, episode 531, near the top. I was listening to an episode of the Photo Walk and you mentioned, Neil, a desire to visit Argentina. Well, this email is my story of Argentina and my youth, and how a random photo is one of my most treasured keepsakes. Our family lived in the smaller town of Cape Girardeau. Is it Girardeau? Yes, Girardeau. Girardeau. Can I sound more French? Possibly not. Missouri, in the US. My father was president of a relatively large producer of leather outerwear that was headquartered in the town. I don't know if this carries over to England, but in the US in the 70s, there was a long-running ad campaign for Marlboro cigarettes that starred the Marlboro Man. He was a handsome and rugged character on a horse and wearing a very beautiful leather jacket that came to be known as the Marlboro jacket. That jacket was made by Ralph Edwards Sportswear. It wasn't designed specifically for Marlboro, but their use in the ad campaign sold a lot of those jackets, as you can probably imagine. I do know of the Marlboro Man, RJ, yes. We had a different version, of course, in the UK, since we don't have all that land to ride out onto with a horse. In England land, he'd have been riding a slightly anxious pony past a wimpy bar in Croydon, smelling of woodbines. Anyway, in the 1970s, the company my dad worked for, Ralph Edwards Sportswear, expanded production facilities into Mexico and Argentina. So for many years in the 70s, my father would live half the year in Buenos Aires, Argentina. He'd spend 6 weeks in South America, then 6 weeks back in the US. And that cycle continued for a number of years. I remember that when he would come home, we'd take the day off school, travel 2 hours to St. Louis, where the large airport was, and wait in the airport for him and his plane to land. It was a grand homecoming, you see, every 12 weeks. I grew up with my friends asking, is your dad home or is he still in South America? Very exotic. I thought this was normal, said RJ. You may remember that living in South America in the 1970s was a bit dangerous for American businessmen. Those were the days of US execs being kidnapped and held for ransom to be paid by large US employers. And for this reason, none of us lot, 6 children that is, ever had the opportunity to travel with my dad to South America. He just thought it was unsafe. But he did take my mum from time to time. Funny that. He risked my mother's well-being, but none of his 6 kids. Anyway, to the photo that I've sent in, the exact date and year of this photo has been lost to history, I'm afraid, but my guess is around 1977. That's my father on the right, the one that's waving. And the person on the left is his attorney, Joe Russell. The photograph is a fantastic snapshot of time. People deplaning out on the tarmac, not even pulling up to a gate. It's a long gone since airline too, Pan Am that he was flying. Fantastic clothes and hair. What an era. Or era, as you call it, don't you, as you pronounce it. The story of the photograph is wonderful as well. You see, the person taking it was a member of the media who was there because there was someone famous on that flight. After the person took this photo, he approached my father and told him that he thought he may have caught a good moment of him waving. He asked for an address where my father could be reached, and he'd have the photo delivered. And a few days later, the photo was indeed delivered to their business address. We sadly lost our father to Parkinson's disease when he was only in his 60s. And I was only 26. I was very close to my parents, but now I think of all the questions I should have asked about this period in his life, the stories he would have had. I've a fair number of photos of my father from his youth, through his time serving in World War II, his wedding to my dear mother, and many with his true pride and joy. That would be his 5 daughters, followed by the baby of the family, his only son, me. But in all of the family photos that we have, morning, barge going by. But in all of the family photos that we have, this is the one that I cherish the most. It's the first photo in my Luminar catalogue, so it's the first one that I see every day when I open Luminar. The power of a photograph. And a photograph taken by chance by a staff photographer who just caught a glimpse of a friendly wave. This just seemed to me to be the type of story you might enjoy, Neil. Well, I do. I love the picture, RJ, and I love the story. Your dad looks every bit the star, by the way, in that picture himself. Another train going by, RJ. There we go. The pinstriped expresses. Back and forth. Where were we? Yes, your dad looks every bit the star, I think. Never mind the star the photographer was waiting for. I didn't get that in your story. Do you know who it was? I think your dad can be the star in this one, obviously. You do have me reaching for my old family photos when I get letters like this, of which sadly we have precious few. Despite my mum actually being what you might call, I suppose, digitally minded. Long before digital cameras were even a thought. But she had the Kodak Instamatic, and she took way too many pictures. Dad would often say, "Wendy, why are you taking that picture? Why, John? It's that, isn't it? It's that. I'm taking a picture of that. No, Wendy, you don't need that." So I do remember that as being a constant conversation between them. But Mum had her hand on the camera all the time. She was our family photographer. But she did take way too many pictures of the strangest stuff. Often of the floor. Right, let's hook up with Tim Rice to start our chat, shall we? 2 very distinct parts to today. With, as I said, I must do one of my halfway to maybe scripts on the phrase "as I said." Note to self. But there is a part 3 on the extra mile, and then the Museum of Photography chat next week. But let's not peak too early. In part 1, as I said in the intro, we walk together and we talk about being photographers more generally, I think, not just in the professional sense, because we touch on this joy of analogue and even favourite films and music. And then in part 2 today, we'll talk about his upcoming photographic road trip in America land, which has some strong nods to the great Robert Frank. Lots to noodle about. Favourite phrase number 34. Here is part 1 of 2 parts today. Tim Rice.
Tim, I wish I could just say, and I'm sure I could actually, where do we start? Then I'd take my recording machine back into the kitchen and I would just sit down there with a cup of coffee and listen to you talk. Because I am sure with all your experience, you wouldn't need me to give you any prompts. I mean, you've had one of those careers that feels, it's been a trade as well as an art form, isn't it? I mean, darkroom labs, Kodak, portraiture, weddings, commercial. That's just...
all of it, yep. Yeah, I've been taking photos since I was a teenager. Shot my first wedding at 17 years old. I've done everything in between since, to the point that this is my first professional year not having a wedding booked. And I think that's more so speaking to the generation behind us that can't afford to get married, but the industry's down over here. But yeah, I started off doing wedding photography, and right out of the gate with a Pentax K1000 and 20 rolls of film. And it's ironic that last week I shot that same Pentax K1000. So it's a full circle. So depending where you want to start, I can jump in anywhere.
Well, it's interesting that you are having the same conversation about weddings to start with as we are in this country. There seems to be, I was wondering whether it's because I'm not trendy anymore, Tim, but maybe not.
I thought the same thing. So it's funny. I bumped into, as you mentioned, I do everything. So at this time of year, most of my time is spent with youth football leagues, or our soccer, or our baseball, softball, all that type of stuff. And one of the dads went by with their kid, and he's a DJ, and I see him all the time. We're always in the same circle. And he goes, "Where will I see you this year?" And I go, "You know what? You're not gonna." And he laughed, going, "Oh, I thought it was me." And I'm like, no, like, it's the whole industry. It's crazy how they're turned. And I thought the same thing. I thought it was a little bit, maybe my beard's a little too gray and I'm looking a little too old these days to show up at some chic wedding and take photos. My style is more documentarian anyway, so I really focus on backyard weddings and stuff like that. And I thought maybe I've just kind of aged out of this thing. And then a bunch of us got together for coffee, and it's the industry. The industry's changing. It's on a downslope. I've seen it before, but I mean, I can't speak for your country, but my country's got some stuff going on in politics and economy and money, and it all flushes into even photography at some point, where people don't spend the money the way they were.
Well, I never believe about I know the politics thing is going on. We dare not mention that, but let's not go there. But the grey beard thing, for example, John Dolan, you may well be aware of John Dolan.
Yes, I do, yeah. I'm familiar with him. I don't know him, but yes.
One of your fellow countrymen that does the most extraordinary wedding pictures. He's worked for presidents and all sorts of stuff. He put that one to rest with me. He said, "Don't ever worry about having a grey beard." He said, "You've got to think of it like the captain of an aircraft, that if you get on one," and I've used this myself, so I don't, maybe we've been to the same school of reasoning, but if you get on an aircraft and you look left and you think, "Thank God, the captain has got a grey beard and looks like he's not going to be struggling with any turbulence today."
That's I know the feeling, and you've probably seen it yourself, where I get asked a lot more questions these days than I ever did. Like, you already joked about it, saying, "Oh, we've got some experts." Like, no, like, I look for the guy with the grayer beard so I can talk to him. So, but it's an entertaining thing. Yeah, but yeah, no, I feel it, but it's all good. And I'm fortunate enough to, I don't have any employees from a particular business, but I mentor a lot of kids, and I feel happy about where the future's going, especially with photography. And I love working with these kids that are just now discovering film. I have this one girl, I'm her mentor, and she's a senior in high school this year. And she keeps telling me the first thing we're going to do when she graduates, she's coming to my studio and I'm going to bring that hybrid camera I have. And I go, "I don't know what you mean by this hybrid camera." "Well, it shoots film, but it's got one of those digital screens on the back." And I go, "Well, what's on the back?" "Well, the numbers, they go on the," and I go, "So you mean a camera from 2005? Yeah, that's the camera." And I'm like, "That's not old. Like, that's nothing special. It wasn't even good then." So it's entertaining to find what they find exciting, but it's great to see their fascination with film is rejuvenated. But I don't know about where you're at. It's very expensive to be in film in this side of the water, and that's why I'm doing everything by hand again. I'm developing C41 film by hand. When I did it, I had a lab for 10 years, and now I'm doing it in my studio darkroom using a Jobo piece of equipment. And you've never seen a gray beard man so excited when that first roll came out about 2 months ago, going, "Look what I did." Like, it was so great. It's like I was like 17 again.
It's fantastic to get that spirit back, isn't it?
It is. And that's where, and we've hit on it. And I don't know if there's an order you want to go in, but we were talking about the collection. The collection has really re-sparked my interest in all of this. That never went away. It was just kind of to the side for a little bit. And now it's funny. I have a Hasselblad X2D2. Like, that's my primary personal camera. I have shot less with that in the last 3 months, and I have shot the Leica 3G or 3F from 52, the Rolleiflex 3.57 from 69, and I'm getting more enjoyment out of photographing with those than this state of the art, top of the line, possible, way overpriced, expensive camera that I have that probably should be getting more action. And I'm so happy to be doing it. I'm going to a place called, it's out here. We have this incredible, it's like a flea market, but that doesn't do it justice. It's acres and acres of people's junk and history that they're selling. And I'm debating what camera am I taking with me tomorrow, And so the Leica 3F from 55 is coming with me tomorrow, and it's going to be loaded with some, they changed the name of it. So it's the Tri-X pretty much. And I'll be photographing that on a walk that I'm just going to be taking tomorrow around this place, shooting black and white film when I'm leaving these really expensive digital units at home that last year I was so excited to be shooting with. So it's just an interesting time to be using everything.
Just sticking with your photography for a moment, did nobody ever have the conversation with you that went something along the lines of, Tim, you need to find yourself something to specialize in, because being a jack of all trades is not going to give you a longevity?
Never going to work, Tim. You're going to burn yourself out, and you don't have a life in this career if you do that, and you're going to be gone in 5 years. Just be the wedding photographer you're supposed to be and go do it. Yeah, I've been told that many times. Yeah. By people whose beards are grayer than mine, and they're probably not on the planet anymore. And now I tell people I joke about this all the time. It's the best advice I never took. That's all it is. Photography, I mean, you know about this. I've gone through a couple of your podcasts, and they're great, and you have a great sense for it. It's a hard industry to last in if you don't go crazy, in a way. And how I avoided going crazy was, last night I photographed 156 girls under the age of 10 that play lacrosse. This morning I was flying my drone over an area because the clouds look beautiful, and I'm playing with that. I've got a real estate photo this afternoon, and I'm doing 2 headshots tomorrow morning before I go to that fair. All of that keeps me sane because I'm not doing the same thing every day. And I joke, I don't know about you. Maybe you can help me with this one. I dislike to label myself a professional photographer because I never wanted to be one. I'm a photographer, and I don't need a professional photographer. Now, I make money from it. That is my career. It has not been my career. It's been my career. We have a love-hate relationship. I've worked in corporate because I got 2 kids that demanded to eat at one point, and that's how I had to feed them. But I always had the photography there. And if you took all the money away and you took all the fancy cameras away, I'd still find a way to make an image and walk around and get a photo. And so to me, I have a lot of friends who do the niche, and they're a wedding photographer. And then I say, hey, you want to go shoot on Saturday? No, I got Saturday off. I'm not taking any pictures on Saturday. Because I don't have a wedding. So I don't need to take any pictures. I'm like, I take pictures. So I take wedding photos so I can afford to take pictures when I don't need to take pictures. And that's how the layering works. And if I had found a niche, I don't think I'd be doing this anymore. And that's just a personal preference, but I don't think it would have worked.
I'm absolutely with you, and I'm hoping that none of my wedding clients are listening at the moment. But I, with due respect to all my wedding clients and those that I shoot portraits of, although I don't do too many of those, I do that so I can enjoy this.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly what it is. And I have the toys I want and the gear I need and the opportunities that give me a chance to go to Iceland, Cuba, road trips because of the incredible clientele I have that allow me to take their picture too. But if it came down to it and somebody said you can have pill A that gets you your professional Tim Rice photo, that's your career, and you go do that, or pill B, which means you're broke, but you can go over there with your Leica and you can go take a picture of that tree. I'm taking the tree picture all day long. Like, that's just the way it's going to go, because that's the sanity. That's how my brain works. To talk about, and I'm sorry, I feel like I'm all over the place, but I saw photos before I had a camera. And I've always known that. Like, when I was a kid, every Christmas list would say I would like a real camera. I didn't know what that meant, but I knew I needed one. And then I'd get it. In 1986, I got a disc camera, the Kodak disc. And I knew enough that wasn't the real camera I had asked for. Oh, it's a real camera. We went to Leechmere, we bought it, and that's the real camera. I'm like, yeah, okay. Next Christmas comes around, I want a real camera, 2 underlines under real, and then you get, okay, here's your 110 camera. Is that going to, no, that's not it either. But then when I was 17, the K1000 showed up. And that's when I knew, oh, that's a real camera. I can change the dials. I knew what an f-stop was now and shutter speed. And to this day, I'm not joking, you can't see it's on the other side, but I have a photo from that first roll of film I shot on that K1000. It's one of my favorite photos I ever took. And I took it in 1992. on the second frame of the first roll.
Well, describe the photo for me. What is it?
So I stood on the top of a parking lot, and you could see the Boston skyline. I don't live far from Boston, so we drove into Boston to go to the museum, and I'm standing on the top, and it dawned on me, what's this B for? These are all numbers. I got numbers. Well, B, what's B? And my friend was standing next to me, knew a little bit about more photography than I did. It's bulb. Just means the camera stays open as long as you want it to. That's fascinating. All right, but what if I point it over there and I hit the button and I end up over there? Why would you do that? Why wouldn't I do that? And that's what I did. And I struck across the Boston skyline, and I have the dots going all across, and then went to the dark room on Monday, and I developed it by hand. It's black and white. That is the coolest thing I've ever. I have a time machine. That's what I have now. Like I took a motioned picture on a still thing, and this is the 17-year-old brain figuring all this stuff out. But this is a time machine, and that's the moment I became obsessed with what we do. And I mean, my tagline is "Hold Life Still." Yeah. That's literally what we're doing. And so to be able to do that with, and I'm sure you're familiar with the K1000, takes a watch battery, just has a needle, make sure the needle's in the middle. That's it. It's the simplest form of entertainment, in my opinion. And it made this beautiful image that here I am almost 40 years still talking about it.
I'm pleased you mentioned the hold life still phrase or tag, because I do wonder whether there's a danger of forgetting just how precious a still image can be in a world that's consumed by moving images, 10-second reels and TikToks. And I appreciate if my son was in, my eldest son in particular was in here now, he'd say, "Oh, get with it, Grandad." But that thing about the still image. My youngest son, for example, is into aviation. That's what he wants to be when he's old. He wants to be a pilot, but he takes the most extraordinary. And I'm not just saying this because I'm his dad. Yep. But it's because I genuinely believe with the money that he's invested in his kit, he has the proper camera and the proper lens, that he takes the most extraordinary images, which I think that's fantastic, darling, I'll say. But I didn't get it on video, he'll say. And there's a part of me inside that slightly dies when he says that.
Yeah, it's like, good, you didn't get it on video, because now you'll appreciate it more because you only have that split second. The video, there's nothing wrong with video. And I'm sure you get it too. How many emails or inquiries do you get going, "Hey, I'm looking for this, blah, blah, blah. Oh, by the way, also, can you just do video for me too?" Yeah. Just do video for me. That's not what I do. Like, I just don't do that. It's like, "Hey, while you're making hamburgers, can you also, give me this?" Like, that's not what we sell. I don't do that. And I have people I work with, and I highly respect them. And I'm not going to lie to you. Mine's more of a personal thing. I don't like editing video. That's a completely different editing that I don't want to get into. Like, I don't want to deal with it. And I still look at the video as a still frame. I don't know if you do. When I see video, when I watch shows now, the shows I'm attracted to, or the movies I'm attracted to, are beautiful cinematography. Like the Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Forget about the storyline. Are two of the most beautiful, artistic, photographable shows I've ever seen. Yeah. And then I've read reports that the people that make it love photography, and you can tell it. Because they do this beautiful scene, even with video, it's still there. It's like within there, you can see it. And so that's how I view video. I still view video as if it was a still. And that's how it captures my attention. But I'm fortunate enough, I have 2 children myself. Both of them are in their 20s. Both are doing different things with their careers. But at each time, I could tell you that I could hand them any cameras, and they take incredible photos. And my daughter right now, she was here for Mother's Day, and she left the house with a camera from my collection with a roll of 36 Tri-X in it, and so she can go out and play with it, because I know that she's got an incredible eye too. Yeah. But I know at the same time, to your point, she'll take a video of it, and she'll do a video reel just to support it, because that's what they do.
You've now lived through several complete reinventions of photography, really, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
Film, digital, DSLR, mirrorless, and now AI joining the conversation. Does photography still feel like, the word that's coming to me now, which is probably inappropriate, is does it feel stable? Is that the right word?
I know what you mean. I don't know what word I would use. That's a great word for it. No, it would be my answer. But at the same time, if you interviewed me in 96, I would have told you no, It doesn't feel stable. In 2008, I can tell you no, it didn't feel stable. I worked for Kodak. Now they study Kodak in American colleges as a business that used to exist. I worked for them. That was my dream. And my son texted me from his last year of college. He took a finance class, and he said, they're talking about Kodak. I'm the only kid in the class that knows what that means. And I love it. So I have a studio. My studio is open to the public. I have people come in and look at the museum and stuff like that. And I have Girl Scout and Cub Scout troops come through all the time. And I always start with, you guys like Apple? We love Apple. Apple's the best. Best company? It's the company. Can you imagine a day when you're 22 years old and Apple doesn't exist anymore? Why would that happen? That would never happen. That's my Kodak. What's Kodak? That's my point. Like, the Kodak was it. Kodak and Coca-Cola, when I worked for them, they were proud. They would thump their chest and go, we have more brand recognition than Coca-Cola. Okay, well, Coca-Cola is still here. So how did that work out for you? And it's amazing that it just disappeared off the face of the planet.
Yeah.
But I don't know about you, but that was my dream as young, was to try to figure out how to be part of it. And I was a Fuji lab when I had a Fuji, when I had my store. So, and I always felt guilty. Like I should be supporting this great American company that is Kodak. Yeah. So is it stable? No, it's not stable at all. But that's some of the benefit of it. That's the joy of it. I live outside of stable in my life every day. You brought up the point about how AI is coming in. I have mentored people, and I've kind of brought it inward to myself to keep comfort of, I've been through this before. You've done this before, Tim. You had a 1-hour photo lab that developed film, C41 film, in 1999. And then that first real estate agent that was your biggest client came in the door with one of these little memory cards right here and said, okay, make me the prints for those. I'll be back in an hour. I'm like, I have no means to make the print from that. You made a choice. You don't use me anymore. And my business went out of business. Yeah. So I don't know. There's a benefit to going back to the joke of, I'm happy AI showing up while my beard's gray. I don't think I'd want to be 20 something right now and fighting that wave, but I also think I'd be better equipped for it. But I'm leaning into film to spite AI. So one of my businesses, my biggest part of my business is headshots. I do a lot of corporate headshots. And in the last 2 years, I've watched that slowly. It hasn't died, but it's going away. So like lawyer firms would hire me, law firms would hire me, and I'd go in and I'd take a picture of 50 headshots in a Boston high rise, and we would take all their pictures. And now they're just snapping a quick photo on their iPhone and say, hey, what color tie do you want to be wearing? And they type it up and they get a headshot. Yeah. My fight to it is I love branding and I love that type of stuff. All right, so that's your LinkedIn photo now, right? Oh, yeah, it's my LinkedIn photo. So that's in a business site, and that's where you're going to make connections, right? I am, yep. Your photo's a lie. Oh, no, it's not. I'm like, yeah, it is. Like that's not the purest version of you. You generated what you want people to look at. Like, now I can fix your blemishes, I can fix your hair, but let me at least have the benefit of you able to say it's a real image and a real photographer took it, and it works. Like I get a lot of, oh, I didn't think of that. And I'm like, well, it's your first foot out there to the universe is that photo. So that's my fight to AI, and at the same time, I like AI. Like I there's benefits to it. I use it. I don't live off of it, but I definitely see the benefits to it.
What did you say it was 30 years in photography, or is it more than that?
I have been professionally, if I count that first wedding, 30, it would be years. It's 30 years. Yeah.
What keeps you curious? Which is dangerously actually like a question I'm going to ask you at the end. But what has kept you curious across those decades?
I don't know. The first thing that pops in my head. You ever seen those old movies where you can tell it's an old time type of movie, right, but they have a cell phone? Oh yeah. Like they have the old 50s car, but the lead character will talk on the cell phone, and you get out of it for a moment. You're fascinated by like, oh, they have that, but they also have this. That's what keeps me in photography. I love the benefit of using the film camera, but then going over here to my left and digitizing it. And that's what keeps me into it. Like I will try to embrace as much of the current technology without giving up the previous stuff that came. Yeah. Does that make sense? Like that's, and to me, that's really what drives me. I love driving the 56 Ford and then getting on my iPhone to get the directions. Like there's something to that. That's the best of both worlds. I don't think either one's better, but what can I make out of both of them? And that's where I get my drive right now, is from the passion of, I'm not in the darkroom printing prints anymore. I'm completely digitized when I print. I have a whole print house on the other side of this computer, but they're from film negatives. Yeah. So that's the best of both worlds. Like it's, and that's what drives me. And it could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not to say. I enjoy it. And that's what keeps me going. So that would be the answer to my question, is just kind of, I love the benefit of marrying everything up and seeing the text marry and mix. And I love failing. Failing's a big part of photography. I love to fail. I love to see how far I can push that camera, and that didn't work. And I'm not ashamed to post it and go, I tried this, it didn't work. Where there's too much perfection in the world right now. And I think that there's too much digitized perfection, in my opinion. And I love flaws. And I always use the analogy of music and photography live side by side. The records sound beautiful because of the cracks and the popples. Yeah. A negative photo looks great because of the defect, or maybe that slight hair that made it through and you missed it. And it's not the sharp focus. Everything's not sharp, but it's there, and you know what was meant. Yeah. I love non-perfection things. They just keep me going.
Well, there's a tonality involved in that, isn't there? When you look at a print in a gallery on a wall, that I can tell is a proper print.
Yep.
And
this one could be beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the proper print.
Well, but do you remember when, since you mentioned music, Dire Straits with Brothers in Arms, wasn't it? When you got your CD player, the first CD you got was Brothers in Arms, Dire Straits. That was the one they said, this is the one you need to get, because this will just sound fantastic in this digital cleanliness that we now...
It was made for this.
Yeah.
Yep.
But now when you listen back to it, it doesn't quite... Well,
it doesn't hold up.
I mean, maybe I'm being a bit too gooey-eyed
completely.
And nostalgic. I don't know.
One of my top, probably first 10 CDs is that CD. Yeah. So that good call. So, and I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. The Matrix. The Matrix was the movie that you had to buy with a DVD player. Like DVD players came out in around 99, and you got to get the Matrix. And now you go back and look at the Matrix, and you're like, oh, that didn't hold up. Like those effects are not... The digitization went past it, and now we can see the impurifications in it, and not in a good way. But you can take a movie from the 50s, 70s, 80s, and still look at it, and you're not going to go, oh, look at the film reel. Like it's not going to change.
Did you see Fallout? Have you seen? I think is it Netflix or is it Amazon Prime?
Fallout, the TV series.
Yeah. Did you see?
Yeah, I saw the first one. I haven't seen the second season.
I know it's not for everybody's taste.
But I love the first season.
One of the things I really liked about Fallout was that it felt, and it did mix match. It was a bit dystopian in some respects, but mix matching new and old together, which I quite like, because I've always loved Terry Gilliam's Brazil film for that reason as well. But when I saw Fallout, I thought, this feels like somebody's come along and they've either filmed, I don't know how they filmed it, whether they filmed it on film, or whether they were really good afterwards and made it look like film. I know you might be at odds with that one, but that for me felt, now this feels better.
No, and even if they did it one way, even they did it digitally and made it look like film, I highly respect that. Like I love, and that's the mixing and maxing of media. It's a beautiful thing to be able to play in that sandbox. Yeah. So and then I mean Oppenheimer. Like I love that movie. Oh. It's incredibly shot. I wish it was 2 parts so I could take a nap because it's too long. But it's beautiful. I've watched it a second time just to watch it, not to pay attention, just to watch it. And they're going to do that with the Odyssey movie too. I believe that was shot on film. So there's a respect to that, but at the same time, they use digital effects in it, and so that's cool too. And that's that marrying of things. Where I have a lot of purist friends, and I have nothing against the purism of it. Like I get it, but not for me. I like having a foot or a hand in every different little sandbox. And how can I take a little bit of this and put it over here?
And Tim Rice is back soon to talk about the amazing road trip that he's about to embark on. It is pups. You can't come on that though. Even I can't go on it. It's just for Tim, which he'll explain why when we talk to him. But I'm really hoping that he will join us either along the way as he's making that trip or post-trip interview. What is it? Can I read another letter, please? It's one from Carrie Price. Carrie, this is beautifully written. It really is. I love this. Hi, Neil. In the Australian winter of 2024, I decided to spend less time working and more time doing what I enjoy. I negotiated Fridays off from work and started a weekly focused practice in the photographic genres I most love: insect macro and candid street. Carrie, can you send me the details of your company? I think we'd all like to work for them. Can we have Friday off so we can go and photograph? No probs at all. Yeah, crack on. Oh, I've just come to a pillbox. Has this one been readied for the bats? Let's have a look. Can't tell. Maybe they're going to do this one yet. The Australian city in which I live, Sydney, has the chronotype of a teenager, typically not exhibiting anything more than the necessary rote signs of human life until around about lunchtime. On the other hand, insects begin their quotidian insecty business the second their hemolymph thaws in the warmth of our East Coast sun. I have practiced that several times to get it in one, and I'm celebrating that I did. Except that is in insect diapause. My Friday photographic walks loosely follow these rhythms. In the morning, I head out in my local suburban bushland or to one of the Sydney public gardens to photograph some of the beautiful and bizarre tiny creatures who live there. By noon, it's often warm enough for all but mad dogs and crazy corporate joggers to do anything but seek out shady respite. And having walked about 7 kilometres by this stage, I head into the Sydney business district for some lunch. But here's the thing. Early on in my Friday jaunts, I discovered a cafe that serves the most delicious, celiac-friendly burnt Basque cheesecake. And then later one that freshly bakes to die for gluten-free chocolate croissants. Stop doing this, Carrie. My tummy's already rumbling. And more recently, one that dares you to choose between the softest, creamiest double-layer chocolate mousse cake and the crunchiest, chewiest espresso butter, almond and chocolate roulade. Or to indulge in a bit of both. And because celiac-friendly fare in the burb cafes where I live is generally heavy on the texture, i.e. sticks to your teeth, and boringly from the same commercial bakeries, on Fridays I abandon healthy lunches and eat delicious city cake instead. See? Oh. Then, having consumed all the calories and more that I burnt on my morning walk, I attempt to burn more by heading into the Friday afternoon city crowd to photograph some of the beautiful, quirky and bizarre Sydney street life. So while I'm unlikely to ever write an autobiography of any kind, least of all a photographic one if I did, perhaps an apt title for mine would be, On Fridays, I Eat Cake. Cheers. Carrie Price. Carrie. That goes into my bloody brilliant Bonza letters, mate, file, he says, doing his second terrible Australian accent. I do love it. And of course, all of your pictures you've sent in, the ones that you refer to, will be on the show page. And say it with me, all together now, I must do a show on macro soon. I have to say, I was a bit surprised, actually, Carrie, to see a dog called Marmite, which is in one of the pictures, in your country anyway, which traditionally, you've shunned Marmite, haven't you, for Vegemite. And if you have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about here, you're neither Australian or British. You can go look that one up, or I'll leave a link on the show page. Yes, I will, pups, I promise. What a wonderfully written letter, though. Your pictures, yes, are on the show page, macro and street alike. The picture, or that picture of the honey brown beetle, tell me that's a macro shot. And not a beetle that's like 6'5", because you never know in Australia. They're in the land of wonderful surprises, aren't they, pups? Eh?
Hot summer morning into middle of the day. It was a hot summer morning into middle of the day. The sun be so hot, I watch my love melt away. Oh yeah, say goodbye, I'm gone, solid gone.
This time next week, we, according to my youngest son, we are having a heat wave. We're having a heat wave. Didn't I sing that last week on the Extra Mile? But yeah, it's cold today. The weather forecast said feels like 3 degrees. Actually, doesn't feel quite as chilly as that. But next week, pups, we'll be in our swimming trunks walking along here. We will. Talking of next week, I have an announcement. Oh, let me just get a quick... The sun's just shining at the right moment to get some contrast between my two scenes. Oh, beautiful. Canal scene in the summer. In the summertime, don't sing. 1300 shutter speed, f5, which seems to be my new favourite. ISO 160. And there we go. A sketchbook picture. Last week I noticed some of the pictures that I took. I had the very edge of the microphone at the bottom of the frame. I thought, what are you doing? Really? It's mirrorless. You can see exactly what you're shooting. Have a word with yourself. Yes, talking of next week, I have an announcement. A very exciting one. But I shall keep that under the duvet of announcements until next week. Neil, you can't say stuff like that. It's like you-know-who forever saying 2 weeks. I'll tell you in 2 weeks. But I do think you'll like this one. No clues. Is it that you're launching a range of official photo walk beige fleeces with pockets deep enough for 17 lens caps and a slightly damp Garibaldi biscuit? No clues. I should say that many of the guests we talk to are very much, he says, changing subject quickly, very much a result of you telling me about the wonderful people that you find and you meet and you see and you follow and so on. And Tim Rice today, I meant to mention this right at the start of the show, was suggested by one of our wonderful extra milers, Marion Cole, who suggested him in the Zoom meetup last month. And we have the next one. Is it next week or is it the week after? Check your diary, Neil, before you mention. Well, the extra milers will know, but you get access to that if you're part of our extra mile club, as it were. Wonderful suggestion, Marion. Thank you. And I'm hoping this is the start of a few conversations with our Tim, as it were. And so here's another suggestion, though I have hit a bit of a brick wall on this one, which I'll come to. Kelvin Brown, actually this is 2 mentions in as many weeks. Last week it was for the Way film, wasn't it? The Way, by the way, for The Way. It was beautiful, that film. I watched it late into the night last week, and I have to say, it's one of the, and I honestly mean this, one of the most inspiring films when it comes to somewhere I would love to walk, the Camino Trail. I'd like to do the whole thing now. Part of me was, a lot of me was, we'll just do a bit of it. But now, I'm afraid it's not a bit of it, it's the whole bit of it. i.e., is it 800 kilometres? Something like that. Anyway, Kelvin says, for some time now, my wife and I have been following the YouTube channel Cruising the Cut, hosted by a chap called David Johns, a former ITV regional news reporter, so ITV being in the UK, our commercial network. David quit his job in 2015. I wondered where he'd gone. No, truly I did. And he went to liveaboard a narrowboat, filming his experiences for over 230,000 subscribers. As a former fellow of the media like yourself, you're never really former, Kelvin. I think, like photography, he never really put the camera down. I think that David would be a prime candidate for an interview explaining the reasons for his change of lifestyle. And pace, I suppose, Kelvin, too. Plus, you often mention, have I mentioned it, Kelvin, much? You often mention it's your dream, as it were. What, to live on a narrowboat? I don't think I've ever mentioned that, have I? I know, yes. It was top of my list, Kelvin, actually, last night for the lotto. I did actually win the lottery last week. Stand by. Yeah, look at me. You are looking, or hearing, I always feel like you're with me. So you're looking at, well, you are. You are looking at a lottery winner. Uh-huh. I won 2 free tickets, so life has not changed that much. I took my tickets next door to Mrs. Sharma, and her niece, who was working in the shop, said, I told you you'd win the lotto. I said, well, it's not quite like winning the lotto, but could I have 2 more lucky dips, please? So she said, these are the lucky dips, as she gave me 2 extremely unlucky lucky dips. So I am not this morning able to say to you, I've got my list. The narrow boat is at the top of it, which it will be somewhere near the top, obviously. But alas, it's a while yet. In the narrowboat YouTube world, David, says Kelvin, is the GOAT. He is a very friendly person who's regularly recognised on his narrowboat. I'm sure he is. And if he grants you an audience, he may well, you never know, take you on the canal in his boat, Gentian. I believe he lives somewhere near Worcester. Wishing you well, Kelvin. Well, Worcester ain't so far from me, as they say. And you're definitely, forgive the pun, floating my boat on this one, as it were. I know that narrowboats aren't everybody's idea of my friend Nat, she says, I can't think of anything I'd like to do less. So it's not everybody's idea, but usually they have brilliant stories. And if we have somebody who's been a TV reporter, TV anchor, I dare say he might be into photography. Well, he has to be, because he's made these lovely, homely YouTube films. So, yeah, I do know David Johns in terms of remembering seeing him on British telly. But interestingly, and here's the problem, though there's a lot of videos and a pretty thorough website, actually, there is one thing missing: a way to get in touch with him. When he went off-grid, Kelvin, he properly went off-grid in a very public way, so to speak. So this is a kind of watch this space. I'm trying to do a bit of homework. I've come up with nothing so far. I may, of course, be doing my husband looking, as Sam calls it. But, to no avail yet. Right, before we join, thank you, Kelvin, for that. Great tip, and hopefully we'll have a chat with him. And maybe spend a day on the canal with him. That'll make a great away day show for the photo walk, wouldn't it? I mean, I know it's a photo cruise, as it were, but all the same, we'd stop off and make photos. Right, before we rejoin Tim for part 2 of our chat, a reminder that we're going to Venice in November to photograph the lagoon at its most, beautifully and remarkably unpredictable. Early morning fish markets, late night under the stars. Venice 2026 is our photo walk European retreat. So here is Studio Neil to whet your appetite.
Let me transport you to day 3 of our photographic street adventure in Venice. There's a side of Venice that reveals itself before breakfast. Nowhere feels more alive at that hour than the Rialto Market. It's existed in one form or another for almost 1,000 years. 1,000 years, Neil, yes, 1,000 years. Venice, remember, was once one of the great trading powers of this world. Spices, silks, fish, fruit, coffee, precious goods from distant places, all pass through these waterways and markets. The famous Pescheria, the fish market, dates from the early 1900s in its early form, though fish has been sold here for centuries. We're taking our cameras and lenses there. Every morning is still the best time to see it, as Venetians do. Wet stone floors, quick conversations, loads of hand gestures, crates being shifted about, regular customers buying their lunch from people they've known half their lives. Later we step away from that market energy and into a different Venice entirely. The Basilica di Santa Maria Gloriosa di Frari. Don't be asking me to do that again. Thankfully shortened by everyone simply to the Frari. I'm working on my pronunciation. It offers something very rare in Venice, though: space. Completed across the 14th and 15th centuries, it's one of the city's great churches, and it still feels calmer than many of the more famous landmarks. A short walk away sits San Rocco. The building became the home of a religious confraternity dedicated to San Roque, protector against plague. And inside a Tintoretto's vast dramatic canvases, painted over more than 20 years, they took some time. And perhaps that's the joy of this particular day we spent together in Venice. Markets one moment, then devotion, then trade, then faith, then labour, art and coffee, of course, all existing within a few narrow streets of one another. And woven through all this adventure we're having together is the simple joy of walking Venice with cameras alongside people who notice the world in a similar way. That being patience for photography. Street photography here is less about chasing spectacles, although you can when it suits, but it's more about patience, observation, and those smaller human moments that we've talked about before. A gesture across a market stall, a shaft of light through a doorway, somebody pausing briefly on a bridge before disappearing again into the city or the shadows. It's dawn to dusk and beyond for us. Venice rewards photographers willing to slow down and truly look. That's what we're going to be doing together this November. Venice 26.
So if you'd like to spend some time in Venice together, I love that very much. Hotel included in this. Lynn, my travel partner in the Journey Beyond, she has sorted the most wonderful, beautiful hotel that we're staying in. Yes, she has. If it wasn't for Lynn, we'd be staying in a B&B or possibly in one of the boats on the canal or in a canal. So yeah, it's a wonderful location. We have some great plans. We really do. We might do some journaling as well while we're out there. So you'll find a link on the photowalk.show website. Look for Venice at the top, obviously. And you'll find a link for our meetup on Saturday, 20th of June. We have another Photowalk meetup. Well, I say another. It's a year since we did the last. Right, Tim Rice, part 2. This time we're talking road trips. And of course we have the why at the end. I think this inspires me to return to make my own road trip, actually, across the United States. Last year's, at the end of the year, I did make that enormous long drive with Marissa Roth, but we didn't really stop much. We had a bit of a tight schedule. What was it, 4 days or 5 days? It was five days in the end to drive from LA, from the middle of LA to the middle of New York. It was quite the marathon at times. There we go. The Pinstriped Express. Off to London, that one. Zipping past us. Yeah, so it has inspired me very much. This part of the conversation you're going to hear with Tim inspires me to return to do... anybody like to join me on this? to do another road trip and to actually visit the towns along the way instead of being very much routed to the or routed along the highways. Here's Tim Rice, part 2.
Middle ground. I think we could simply spend our time solely on this.
Great. I look forward to hearing what it's going to be because I'm not quite sure. So
since you're about to depart on it, because it's not, what is it? 5 weeks? Were you saying to me it's 5 weeks away?
I'm leaving. So today's the 12th. So or maybe we shouldn't date it, but we're in the middle of May. I'm leaving in the middle of June.
Yeah. Okay. Well, middle ground. Tell me about the actual process of it, the project itself, because I would imagine originally it was a bit of a romantic notion, but it's now become a thing.
You hit it on the head perfectly, and that's a very loaded statement. So the project came from 2016 is the first time I came up with this project. And it came out of politics. It originally was the whole base of me going on a rant with just some choices that my country has made. And I said, you know what, there's got to be a middle. You know, we have too much left and we have too much right. I want to live in the middle. I want to find more people in the middle. Where's the middle? And I literally, where's the middle? And then Google, where's the middle? And I find out the middle is a place called Kingsley, Kansas. There's a marker that's probably the size of my desk, and the Yelp reviews of it are hilarious. They all say you will drive by it, and you can turn around at the gas station at the end of the street, and you can go back because you will not see it the first time you try to find it. And so I wanted to go to the middle and talk to people. That's it. That's the basis of the whole thing. I want to go to the middle, talk to people, take pictures too. Since then, this is the 30th anniversary of when I opened my own 1 hour photo lab. 1996 I was 22 years old. I got a loan from a bank and I bought the photo store I was working at. I weighed 130 pounds. I had no business being a business owner. Every person who walked in the door said, "Can I speak to the owner?" And when I said it was me, they would just laugh. Like why is this kid? Your dad's got to be here somewhere, buddy. Like, how is this going to work out? Anyway, so it's a very important part of my life. And then I did a Reddit search and I found out there's still about 100 of those in my country. And other than just the big ones, there's even some smaller ones. So I've based this road trip, around to visit them. And I'm going to shoot primarily film. And I don't know if you're familiar with, I know you said you looked them up, but Todd Webb and Robert.
Yeah. Well, I know Robert Frank and Todd Webb's work, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. But they did their projects. They did a very similar project, and I'm going to be hitting a lot of the same routes that they did. They did it at the exact same time with the exact same money from the Guggenheim. Neither one knew that each other existed.
You see, initially I was saying, well, what about Eggleston and Lee Freelander and Gary Winogrand? But of course, those projects would not have been this, would they?
Correct. No, they wouldn't. And so it was inspired by the location first. Downstairs, I have a print. I have an original print from Todd Webb that he took on the trip that I purchased from his archive. And it's of the Kingsley sign that says, and I can't remember the mileage, but it's like 6,000 miles that way is LA, 6,000 miles that way is New York. Yeah. This is the middle. Yeah. And I have done research. The sign still exists. And he shot that with a Leica 3F and a Nikon lens. So I have the 3F, but I have a Canon lens, and I'm going to go to the exact same spot, stand where the man stood, and take the same picture. And then in St. Louis, Robert Frank, he shot with a Rolleiflex 3.5 F. I beautifully and privilegedly was given as a gift that camera 18 months ago. And so when we get to my collection, I'll talk about that a little bit more, but I come back to my studio and people will give me boxes of cameras because they know I have a collection. Yeah. And this was during my peak season of school work that I do. So the box kind of just sat there, and I go through boxes. I get a lot of junk, and I appreciate it, but I get a lot of junk. I get a lot of disc cameras, so 110 cameras. So about 2 months went by, I open up the box, and there's a 3.5F in beautiful condition with a grip handle, pistol grip handle. Everything's loaded. It's all there. And I called the family going, you need this back. Like, you can't just give this to somebody. You don't even know you have this. And they no, we want you to have it. Our uncle is a professional photographer. And you have no idea. This is one of my heroes for cameras. Like, he had this camera and I'm taking this trip. I had already planned the trip. And then the camera just magically appeared and is now in my possession. So it was just meant to be that I'm going to this guy's road trip. And now I have the camera he used on the road trip. So the two things are combining, and I'm starting in Chicago. So that's where Robert Frank started his journey. Or he stopped there, but he has a lot of pictures there. I'm going to go down to Kingsley, Kansas. I'm going through St. Louis. I'm going through Missouri. And then I'm ending up in Rochester, New York at the Eastman Kodak Museum. And that's where I'm going to end everything. But the goal is, on the way, I'm shooting film. Like, this will be shot in both, but primarily film. And I'm going to visit photo stores that still exist and interview those people, photograph them, hopefully get a podcast out of it, and do my own book out of it, and dropping my film off at these establishments. And they're going to process my film while I go off to the road and keep on going and reload at each of these stores. So one, helping the economy and just supporting these places that don't exist much anymore, out of memory of my own and just out of my desire to, I just love road trips. I joke, it's my long photo walk. Like, it's the longest photo walk I'll ever do. So, but that's just what I want to do. And I took the political aspect out of it and just focusing on my film and my camera and holding everything close and near and dear to me.
I think you're doing the road trip. I did a road trip last year. I went LA to New York.
Oh wow!
And I made a great podcast, I hope, out of it. But
I'll go find it. Yes.
You're doing the road trip. I think I might like to have done or do in the future in many respects. Kansas, though, God dear. I mean, I thought I was driving around in circles in Kansas.
Any direction, the same thing. Yeah,
it never seemed to end.
Nope. Iowa's another state like that. Yeah, we got some big states with a lot of stuff that. Yeah. It looks like corn. So, yeah.
Well, you have to remember, I live in a country where really you can't drive more than a mile and not see at least 50 people. But
I go to Iceland a lot. I've been to Iceland 10 times. That's my happy place. And that's a place where I spent I spent 7 days with a co-pilot in the Highlands, which is the center of the country, and I don't think we saw another person for 5 days. So yeah, it's crazy.
How much of this journey is about photography, and how much of it is about the people? Because I think there's a bit of a join here, isn't there, really?
Oh, it's definitely, yeah, the safest answer is 50-50, but I would probably go even it's more about the people than the photography, especially since that I've determined that I want to do it with film. I don't know about you. So do you shoot film and digital?
I do, but I don't shoot much.
Okay. So every year, my New Year's resolution is to shoot less photos.
Right.
Like I still, my degree is in film photography. My love is in film photography. I haven't shot this much film that I've photographed. I've probably done 30 rolls in the last 3 months.
Do you mean shoot less photos, digital or film?
No, digital. So because that's where I was getting to. Yeah, because it's too easy to hit that button and just hit the button, and I'll get it. Hit the button. And I'll hit the button. I'll figure it out later. And with film, I'm very precise, and I want 12 good exposures, or 24, or 36 good exposures. Yeah. And so it wasn't until I finally picked up my film cameras again that I slowed down. I'm not gonna lie to you. Actually, it was before that when I picked up the Hasselblad. So I jumped into the Hasselblad about 4 years ago, and that was the best thing I ever did for my career, for myself, or for my personal photography. Because even with that, the camera's got 100 megapixels. I'm not taking 2,000 photos. Like that's just, why would I do that to myself? Why would I do that to my computer? So I became slower, and even its click is slower. Its shutter is slower. Everything is slower. The kerplunk of the noise is slower. As opposed to my Nikon Z, which is my business camera, where I'm shooting these kids last night, and 10 photos each kid, bang, 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 next, bang, and that became old habit. So the best thing I ever did for myself, my career, and my sanity, and my goal of slowing down was my Nikons are my business cameras, my Hasselblads and my films are my personal cameras. So going back to another part of our conversation, we're picking a niche. Well, my niche is my business is over here, and I know if I have that Nikon Z in my hand, I love that camera. It's one of the best cameras I've ever owned. I'm making money. Like that's the business side. So business Tim is over here. And it becomes a dual personality. When I'm over here with the Hasselblad, that's me. That's me taking a picture, and I don't need to get it perfect, and I don't need to take 20 of them to make sure I got it. Then the next step from that was taking the film, because now I only have 36 shots. Like even that, I shoot. You shoot a wide lux?
No.
Oh, so that's my that's my favorite camera on the planet.
Oh, I know of it. Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, a friend of mine recently bought one. Yeah.
They are. I've had this. Fortunately, I bought it when they were still cheap. Yeah. So they're not cheap anymore. That camera will take a 36 roll of film, and you only get 20 shots out of it because of the size of the panoramic. Yeah. And I love shooting that thing. This is my favorite camera by far. This will be featured heavily during the trip, because especially the landscapes I'm going to see and stuff like that. But it's just, again, I'm all about using photography right now to just, this sounds as corny as you possibly can, just enjoy everything. It's slowing me down and causes me to enjoy it and view things I haven't been viewing in a few years.
You mentioned business Tim and non-business Tim. But any sort of road trip, and for those listening who are thinking, I'd love to do something like this, how on earth am I going to afford it? I did mention, or I did notice rather, on your website that there is the mention of Kickstarter, etc.
I never did it. Yeah,
did you not do it?
I chose not to do it. No.
So self-financed.
It is self-financed, and I just did yesterday the math on what the gas alone will cost. So yeah, because right now we're pushing $5 American a gallon, and we were $2.50 a gallon 8 months ago.
I don't want to be cruel. I don't want to be cruel, but I'm going to take out the world's smallest violin, because we're paying £8 a gallon.
I was going to say you guys are probably even more, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And that's crazy. And so to the point that there's been conversations of whether I keep my trip or not. Yeah. It's over $1,000 just in gas. That's it. Yeah, and then, on top of that, I love my car, and I don't travel a lot of places, so it doesn't get the best mileage. So it's even worse.
Are you expecting people to react to you in this project very differently when you lift those amazing film cameras?
I don't know.
Do you think that'll make a difference? Do you think that's because you've obviously got this nostalgic feel about this, and the fact that Robert Frank went to places like where you're going. So there's a different emotional connection that you're going to have to this. But I wonder if that will permeate through to those having their photos made.
I don't want to be cynical, but I don't think so.
No.
But the positive in me, that's not why I'm doing it. Like if someone gets, I was having this conversation with my good friend today. We're talking about it, and we live in a world of clicks and likes and social media and algorithms and like how many views did this get, and I got this many followers, and I used to chase it. I chased it a lot, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I still do. My daily pick. I have a picture. I've posted a picture every day since October 1st, 2009.
I know,
and I've watched those numbers go through the roof. Yeah. I've watched those numbers pretty much. Am I just talking to an empty cave right now? Like, who am I talking to? Yeah. And it wasn't until I got to a place where kind of zen on this shit about it, like, I'm doing this for me. And if someone else gets a benefit from it, that's great. And that has kept me sane. I also don't believe the algorithm numbers anymore. I don't believe they're always accurate. Did you look at it on a phone? Did you look at it on a web browser? Did we count you correctly? You could go crazy doing that. And I love what you're doing. I've always wanted a podcast, but I hate listening to my voice half the time, ironically. So I don't know if I could edit it. I hope people get some enjoyment out of it. I hope if I inspire one person to do something like it, that's a win. That's how I look at it. And at the end of the day, I'm going to have some great photos, I hope, knock on wood.
Well, what I'm hoping for is to hear these people when we talk again, which I sincerely hope we will after this project.
That would be great. Yeah.
I am hoping to hear some recordings of the people that you photographed and their stories.
That I'm bringing. So I have the DJI mics and everything.
Good.
The whole thing's planned that way. I'm documenting it. There won't be video, but there'll be audio. There's going to be a lot of note taking. And then, I don't know. I don't know about you. I don't know how to word this. I'm an incredible planner, and I'm not at the same time. Like, it's a very weird, like, I know where I'm going. I got the route, and the rest will follow. What will happen, and what I get out of it, I will get out of it.
Well, I don't think you can plan the stories and the amazing people you're going to meet. I really don't think you can. I think serendipity has to be your partner in this thing. That's
the only partner I have too, because there's been times where I've talked about a friend of mine was going to join me, and like, you know what? I don't want to ever have to. And this actually goes back to why I didn't do a Kickstarter. I didn't do a promotional side to it. I don't want anybody telling me that to go left when I wanted to go right.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's like, it's my map. So, you know what? If the sun looks good over that way and the light's going over there,
that's where you're going.
We're going that way. Yeah. And then I don't have to turn to that person and go, what do you think? Because I'll do that.
Yeah.
I love to include anybody that's with me in on the decision process. So I've eliminated that by having nobody to ask the decision to. And there's a benefit and a curse to that, because I went to Iceland with my family, and I had to make a deal with them. This was a family trip. I don't know about you. So we take family trips. I do a lot of solo photo trips. This was a family trip that Dad brought a lot of photo equipment. He's got the drone. He's got 2 cameras. He's got a tripod. All right, we're all crammed into the car. If I stopped to take a picture and I could convince one other person to get out of the car with me, I had 5 minutes. If I convinced 2 people to get out of the car with me, I had 10 minutes. If I convince nobody to get out of the car with me, I have 2 minutes, and that's it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, hey, that's beautiful. Let's go. Nope. 2 minutes. You're on the clock. Go. So I'm flying the drone with this hand. I'm shooting with this one, because and in their defense, if they hadn't done that, I would have never left Reykjavik. Yeah. Like, I would have been at the airport photographing the most beautiful things I'd seen and missed everything else I saw.
How many 10-minute moments did you get then?
Enough. Yeah, it worked out good. And then what benefit was, halfway through that trip, I'm already booking the next trip, and I'm coming back by myself. Perfect. And that's how it works. Like, so we have a rule in my family that if we visit somewhere together, Dad can go back by himself anytime he wants. So and you can get your photos the next time you're here. You're like, all right, that's great.
You might remember one of my initial questions was, after 30 years in photography, what keeps you curious? Which I said is dangerously like a question I ask at the end. But I think there may be a difference in how you answer this, maybe a nuanced answer. After 30 years, well, it's more than 30 years of you now.
It's more than 30 years.
You now reach back into the stories of you originally grabbing the Kodak camera because it meant that you didn't have to be in the photos. My story is very different. My mum would not let that camera go. You could not get the camera out of Mum's hands. That's why there's 1,001 pictures of birds in the air, which you can't really, it just look like dots. And you say, Mum, she'd say, particularly at air shows, when our famous red arrows would show up, and she'd be taking pictures of the Red Arrows display team, and you'd say, Mum, it just looks like a fly. And she'd say, no, it's the Red Arrows. I said, it might as well be a fly.
It's the Red Arrows. I know what it is. Yeah.
But after all this time, What is your why?
In just in general, or because I have different answers. I have different, like for my business side, I stand by this, but I say it all the time. Everybody deserves a good photo. And I don't think we live in a world of good photos anymore.
Do you know?
I think
that's interesting.
We live in a world of a lot of photos, but we don't necessarily have a beautiful photo. And I think people don't even realize it until they see it. I mean, I can put portrait mode on my iPhone and I can get a decent shot. I'm not saying anything against that stuff, but if you come into my studio or you go for a walk with me and let me take your portrait and pose you just real quick, minor adjustments, I don't overpose, and I take a picture and I show it to you. It's the moment that I show them the back of my camera is why I do it, because their face will always drop. Like it always, like, oh my God, like especially for the people that I love. I get it every time, especially my age. So, I mean, I'm speaking for 40 and 50 year olds. I need to get a headshot and the company told me I got to do it. I'm not going to like it, blah, blah, I got to do it. But yeah, okay, that's fine. All right. So come in here. And one of my technique is to have you talk. I talk way too much during my sessions. Because if you're talking, you're not thinking about posing for the photo. And then in between, okay, you just one second, okay, click. All right, so anyway, tell me again about your kids, and you go on and you keep going, and then click, and then, all right, here's the 3 photos I just got of you. Their jaws drop. For a quick second, it passes, but that's why I do it. I just love that moment of, look what you can be represented at. This is you. This isn't edited. This is you, and you can do this. As much as I can push the button, you can stand in front of a camera. Now, I'm guilty of it. I can't smile in a photo to save my life. If you find photos of me online, I'm not usually smiling. I can't smile. I can tell you how to smile, but I can't do it for myself. But I love that. I love to be able to do that. The other side of it, so that's the business side of it. The other why is I just do it for me. It keeps me sane. I love looking for photos. More than pushing the button, I love looking for them. I always saw them. I saw them as a kid. I still see them. I'm sure you see them too. And it's hard to explain to somebody that doesn't do photography as much as we do. But even right now, all right, the way you're framed in the shot, it's a little dark over here. And I want to move you over and I want to turn you a little. But that's always, that never turns off in the back of my head. And I just always frame things. I always used to joke, I'd walk around. I teach classes. And one of the things, the first thing I hand out is a mat. I hand out a 8x10 mat with a 5x7 opening. I go, okay, that's your frame now. Put the camera down. Go outside and find what needs to be hung on the wall and let them do it. I see that naturally. I swear my eyes are screwed up and that's how I just see everything, but I see everything in frames. And then there's a vision to it where I've always wanted to do a TED Talk on lenses, where I think the world would be better if we compared everything to lenses. So I can distort a view with a 14 millimeter where everything's nice and sharp in the middle, but things get a little bit distorted on the side, so reality's not always over there. But I can also take your portrait with a 200 millimeter and I can get you looking really nice, but I don't see the fire that's happening just over off of camera here that's making you react. And if we talk in that way, I say it to my children all the time, what lens did you judge that in? And they know exactly what I mean. I'm gonna go, okay, so you put the 24 on, all right? Right now you're at 70, put the 24 on. That poor mom who's having a bad day has a whole bunch of stuff going all crazy over here, but you're at 70, you don't see it. If you view it at 24, you can have a little more empathy, right? You're gonna, yes, yeah, and they hate my preaching, but there's something to that where photography can teach us how to see things without ever taking a picture. If that makes sense. It does to me, but it really does. I view the world differently with or without a camera. I'd rather view it with a camera, but I see it whether the camera is not in front of me or not. That's my why. And that's probably a really convoluted answer, but it's there and it makes sense to me somehow.
And my sincere thanks to Tim Rice for joining me on the show this week. It was a pleasure to talk with you. It won't be the last, which I'm delighted about. And if you've enjoyed his conversation, he is back on the extra mile to face the biscuit tin of questions. Plus, next week, he is back to talk about the most amazing museum of photographic artifacts he's built. More Tim, and hopefully more Tim still when he's out on the road. I've just thought of a question to add to the biscuit tin of questions. My happy place is ... which could be photographic, it could be life. I was just thinking this because we were sat on a large log from a tree that had fallen probably quite some time ago by the looks of it, and been parked along the side of the path here. And I thought, this is my happy place, this is. It really is. Absolutely adore my walks each week. I do, pups, and you do too, I know. Right, come on then. You can have one of these. Bit more ASMR. There's what is it? Audio sensory. I should know what ASMR means. I heard a great channel the other day, or I was watching a great channel, or listening to it really, because whilst ASMR has lots of people on it just eating spaghetti. No, don't put your nose in the tin. That's my tin. All right. You'll have Captain Keith saying, well, number one, you give him treats when he barks, which is a complete no-no. Number two, now you're letting him eat out the tin. Oh, and just walk across the letters while you're about it, why don't you? Come on, this way. Yeah, the channel I was listening to was essentially just rain. It was a man putting up tents in the rain. And don't look at me like that. Here comes another bit of ASMR, but not quite so nice. It's another one of the pinstriped expresses, is it? Oh no. This one's freight. This could be some time. Although, yes, the freight trains in this country are not quite as long as the humongous ones that you have in, say, America land and Canada land. Oh, there's another one coming, is there, pups? You're quite right. God dear, what is this? Hey? Another freighty. It's freight-tastic. I wish I was at... Where's there a break in the... Oh, it's going to be too late. Trying to get an artistic through the foliage photograph there, but no. Oh, that one would have been okay. Gone now, pups. I must mention this before we end today's show. This is a bit unlike us because we're not exactly a radio request show, but can I say bon anniversaire, bon anniversaire. Oh God, I was hoping I'd say this properly. To Valerie Jardin, who turned. You can't give away people's ages, Neil. I know. Hold on to your walking poles. Who turned even more talented, as you do, as you move through this photographic life. See? It was Valerie's birthday on Wednesday, and she wrote to ask if the Halfway to Maybe, called F***ed Up Life Advice for the Creative Soul, was written especially for her on her birthday. I actually had a few personal notes about that one, and not about the cursing, no. But it has been a bearing soul week on the Halfway to Maybe podcast. Monday was Learn to Love the Word No. Wednesdays was, well, what you just heard. And today's is called Far From Perfect. If you haven't heard Halfway to Maybe, it's short 10 to 15 minute stories on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays about the creative life. And not just the creative life, there's other stuff in there as well. It's journaling in many respects, I think. Yes, it is. So Halfway to Maybe, look it up on your podcast player thingy. It's easy to find. So last letter of the week coming up. I'm taking a risk, going out on a limb, as they say, although not too dramatically. You know how we have a PS on the show? Yes, Neil? Well, from today, I'm handing the baton on to you. The official last letter of the show is now the PS, which will float seamlessly into the play-out song. A chance to think a little more about what's been said on the show. And today, that play-out song today is from Echo LaRue. It's called Justify. A nice, raspy number today. I'm in a raspy mood. So, yeah, anyway, the PS is now down to you, which sometimes, I guess it'll be a letter, which might have a kernel of inspiration by way of a life quote. But more often, probably not. It's simply for the joy of reading some of your very thoughtful, witty words and ideas. Are we ready then for that letter. Are we? I think we possibly are.
It's the last letter of the show. The last letter of the show.
It's from Dennis Muir. Thank you, Dennis. Neil, I've reached the conclusion that at least 50% of photography is not actually photography at all, but parking. My entire photography career, if you can call 43 years of doing this purely for the love of it, has been built around muttering, "I'll just pull in here for 5 minutes," before wandering off into a muddy field for the best part of an afternoon. While we're about it, I feel like you're getting things off your chest. I've also accepted that middle age in photography arrives not with a dramatic fanfare, but the purchase of one of those tiny folding stools that bird photographers carry around. I mean, you resisted at first. I even mocked them. Then one day your knees start to make noises like snapped breadsticks while crouching, and suddenly you're online comparing stool weight specifications. And another thing, why do photographers spend thousands on tack-sharp lenses only to deliberately add grain, blur, and light leaks and stuff like that? I've further realised, oh my word, pull up, never mind the stool you sit on while you're out, pull up the counselling chair. We normally pull a sofa behind us, the sofa of flattery, which I haven't had to hide behind for a few weeks, but we should have the couch of counselling. I further realised that many photographers now spend longer watching YouTube videos about photography than actually doing photography. I include myself in this. Last Thursday, I watched a 40-minute video, he says, called 7 Mistakes Street Photographers Make While Sitting Indoors, making the 8th one. Keep up the good work. What's happened to Carl, by the way? I always used to like the fact you talked to your car and it talked back to you. All the best, Dennis. Oh, you are right. We haven't featured Car. Car's not gone anywhere. I still have Car. Come on, Pops, this way. Come on. Yeah. No, Car doesn't seem to have talked much for the last year or two, does he? But that in itself, Dennis, a cracking PS. You have set the bar high, which is good. Because I can't be trying to get under those low bars because my knees are making the same noises as yours, it seems.
I have a tendency to tend to see the cracks in the pavement before I take a leap. What could have been, or what might be, is stealing the present from right under me. Round and around in a circle I go. Justify, can't help but justify my every move, all the things that I think I'm supposed to. The gray between the lines keeps me up at night, but I tell myself all is well justified. Justify, can't help but justify. I do what it takes to not make mistakes, even when choosing the good from the great. It's a heavy weight, for heaven's sake. Why can't I seem to give myself some grace? Guess I'm only human. Justify, can't help but justify my every move, all the things that I think I'm supposed to. The gray between the lines keeps me up at night, but I tell myself all is well justified.
The Photo Walk is a Loading Zone production.